Hey guys, how's it going? This is Max from Center Music House, coming to you from actual Center Music House today, and not just my apartment. We are open, so if you guys ever need to come in to grab any strings or picks or whatever, feel free to stop by as long as you please wear a mask. Thanks for tuning in to lesson 4 of 6 of the free guitar class for beginners that we're offering in partnership with the Framingham Public Library. If you have any questions about anything in this lesson or anything about guitar or anything at all about music, please feel free to email Helen from the library. The email is below in the description here. She'll send us those questions, and then this Saturday we're going to have a live Q&A at 6:30. That's on the Center Music House YouTube channel. There's going to be a link to that below as well. You can tune in, we'll answer your questions. Rahards and I will talk about music. You can type any questions you have into the chat as we're hanging out and talking about guitar. So look forward to seeing you guys there. Lastly, before this lesson, we have a sale on guitar strings this week for you guys. If you go to centermusic.com/read, at the bottom of the page, there's a link where you can see all of our guitar strings. The promo code is READ4, so you enter that at checkout, you get 15% off all of our guitar strings. So whether you're playing acoustic, electric, guitar strings need to be changed out pretty regularly depending on how much you play. The more you play, any dirt or oil or anything that's on your hands is going to get on those strings. It's going to stay there, causes corrosion, which makes it harder to press the strings down, and it doesn't sound as good. So if you've been playing for a while, you definitely want to think about getting those guitar strings replaced. And as always, if you guys have any questions or need any help, please feel free to reach out. We're here to help out. All right, enjoy this lesson, guys. We'll see you at the live Q&A.
Hello everyone, my name is Rahards and I'm a teacher at Center Music House. This is lesson 4 out of 6 in the series of how to learn the guitar. Today we'll talk about a few new chords. We're going to learn 2 new songs, Halo and Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. And we're also going to talk a little bit about fingerpicking basics. Today we will look at the chords A, E, and E minor, so the EM chord. And let's start with the A and the E chord. The A chord is going to be pretty easy for you if you can already do the A minor chord. Remember we did Knocking on Heaven's Door? Right? The third chord, A minor. So what I want you to do is go to this chord. And if you look at the diagram for the A chord, you'll notice that there's only one note difference between the A minor and the A chord. And that is, if you got the fingering correctly for the A minor chord, so to go to the A chord, you just put your pinky down right below all your other fingers. You stack them all up on the 2nd fret. So just to, go through it all, our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th finger, so our middle finger, ring finger, and pinky, will all go on the 2nd fret of strings 4, 3, and 2. Now strings 5 and 1 will be open. So let's just play it from string 5. There you go, your A chord. And let's change back to A minor. Just see, just that one note jumps back. Back to A. Good. Nice. An easy way to learn the E chord is, again, go to the A minor chord, and then if you look at the diagram, you'll see that the shape between the A minor chord and the E chord are quite similar to each other. So basically all we have to do is jump one string this direction. So towards us, one string up. So our first finger is going to go on the 1st fret, 3rd string. 2nd finger is going to go on the 2nd fret, 5th string. And 3rd finger is going to go on the 2nd fret, 4th string. And we're going to strum all 6 strings. Got the A chord and the E chord. Nice. Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For is a great song by U2, and it uses both of these chords. But first things first, let's cover one new thing that we see on the notation here for this song. You'll notice that at the end of the lines, you'll have these double bar lines and 2 dots. So what that means, that's a repeat sign. So a repeat sign means that once we get to this sign, we repeat whatever came before, right? Now, if you happen to have a line, for example, or measures, bars, that are in between 2 repeat signs, like you see here on the 2nd line, we repeat to it from that first repeat sign. So don't worry about it too much if it doesn't make much sense. The idea is that repeat the verse twice and we repeat the chorus twice. First things first, let's check out the chord progression and what chord goes after what. Let's just go through the chord progression in simple downstroke quarter notes, just like we did with the previous songs. We start off with the A chord, and let's just do 4 measures of downstrokes on the A chord. That's a lot of downstrokes for the A chord. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get to the D chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 for 2 bars, and then switch back to the A chord for another 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we do that again because the verse usually is repeated. Only I think later in the song it isn't. And once we've gotten through that 2 times, we go to the chorus. The chorus starts with the E chord. 2, 3, 4. And then switch to the D chord next bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 2 bars of A. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, especially in these kind of songs where there's one chord for multiple bars, counting is your friend. Until you feel very, very natural and fluent in knowing where to change the chords, I really suggest that you practice with counting. Just, downstrokes and just count with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? What you can do after you've gotten through this progression with just the simple downstrokes is maybe apply one of the strumming patterns that you already know, like the one that we covered last week, down, down, up, down, up, right? So and so on. Feel free to experiment and play around with it. By now, you should have gotten sort of the hang of how to read these progressions, but if not, then feel free to, rewind this video, rewatch these parts, go to the previous video, rewatch those parts, and we're going to be taking a look at another song today, so we're also going to go through the same steps of going through the progression, how to read the chords, and all that stuff. For the next song, Halo by Beyonce, we have to take a look at the E minor chord. And the procedure is pretty simple. I want you to find the E chord. Also another new chord that we looked at today. So find the E chord. And to get the E minor chord, if you look at the diagram, again, you'll notice there's only one difference between the E major, the E chord, and the E minor chord. And that is, you lift up your first finger, and that's it. Leave that string open. So there you go, that's your E minor chord. E chord, and we have the E minor chord. Great. Before we explore the progression of this song, let's talk about strumming, and let's go through a new strumming pattern that we will use for this song. What you'll see, this is another 16th note pattern here that we have, just like last time that we checked out for Knocking on Heaven's Door. This time, again, there's one new thing that we have to cover. That second note, that second 8th note, you'll see there's a small little dot next to it. So what that means is that it lengthens the note by half of its value. If an 8th note divided in 2 is 2 16th notes, so half of an 8th note is 1 16th note. A dot next to an 8th note means that that 8th note is lengthened by 1 16th note. This might be a little, tricky to grasp, but that's okay. Take your time, think about it. What you have to know now is that since we have the counting written underneath, 1E and 2E and so on, just take a look, where do those notes align? And you'll figure out that we have one quarter note, so 1E, and then that 8th note is on the 2E and that last of the second beat. That's where we're gonna play another upstroke. Let's go through the pattern very slowly. The way it goes is, and remember to count, so we have one downstroke, that first quarter note, so 1, E, and You still want to make that movement. Remember that hand motion that we talked about? It's very important. That first beat is 1, E, and And then we get to that eighth note with the dot that we just talked about. So that's going to be 2, just a downstroke, 2, E, and on the A, you're going to do an upstroke. So downstroke, 2, E, and upstroke, A. 1, E, and A, 2, E, and A. Then, on that third beat, we have 2 eighth notes. So we're still doing the 16th note pattern. So we're going to have 2 downstrokes. 3, E, and A. So far, all 3 beats, 1, E, and A, 2, E, and A, 3, E, and A. And then the last ones are 4 16th notes. So just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, or 4, E, and A. The strumming pattern altogether would sound something like this. 1, E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. Let's put together the strumming with the chord progression. So as you can see, we have 1 chord per bar. So we start off with the G chord. Next bar we go to A minor, then E minor, and then last bar C. Just in simple quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Let's try that with our strumming pattern. It's going to sound a little like this. And so on. Again, feel free to rewind this part of the video to just check out the strumming instructions again and take your time learning it, get it down, and just have fun with it. We've learned a couple of songs, a couple of strumming patterns, and a question might arise, well, how else can I play? Is strumming all there is? Well, no it isn't. There's a lot of different ways to play the guitar, and most of you, if you go on YouTube and you just write guitar, it's crazy what you can find. But one thing that I do want to talk about is just the basics of finger picking. And finger picking is exactly what it sounds like, where instead of a pick or strumming, we're picking the strings with our fingers. Let's start by placing these 3 fingers, so your index, middle, and ring finger of your right hand, place them on the top 3 strings, so on strings 1, 2, 3, on strings E, B, and G. The way I want you to place them is, well, first of all, you kind of want to try to keep your wrists straight and just keep it relaxed, keep it nice. It's alright if your fingers land on the strings a little bit on the diagonal, not exactly parallel to the strings. They don't need to be parallel to the strings. You don't need to push it in like this, That's actually going to make it even harder. Or you don't need to go the other way too much like this either. That's not exactly necessary. What you need to do though is position your fingers, and you want to put so the skin is a little bit below the tip. The skin of the tip of the finger is a little bit below the string. Kind of like if you're playing with a pick, you position it you don't put it on the string. You position it a little bit inside the string. There's a surface for the pick to latch onto the string and pick it, right? So it's the same concept with our fingers. You want the fingers to go just a little bit below the strings. Just not too much, just a little bit. And then your thumb, same way if you're strumming with a thumb, you already know that feeling. Only this time don't strum it, just put it lightly on the 4th string. Right? So you should get something like this. With your thumb, you would go down and make the string ring. And with these fingers, you want to do a similar thing where you go, well, this time you pluck up there, you pluck towards yourself. Play around, experiment, play around with different positions, how to put your hand and stuff, see what works for you, what feels comfortable, or maybe at first it doesn't feel comfortable at all. If that's the case, just, I would say give it a few weeks, practice it. Usually when you practice it correctly, the feeling of uncomfortableness goes away as you get more comfortable with playing that way. Basically, you get used to it. You form a habit of playing that way. And what we're going to do here is we're going to play the strings in that order. So 4, 3, 2, 1 in just the rising order. So fingers thumb, then index, middle, and ring. So thumb, index, middle, and ring finger. Right? If we put the D chord on, we'll see that it actually starting to sound pretty nice. That's cool. For now, I want you to leave these 3 fingers up here on the strings 1, 2, 3, just for now. However, the thumb is going to travel wherever the lowest note or the lowest string that we play in a certain chord is. So for example, if we're playing the D chord, we know that our lowest note is this open D string. So we're going to keep our fingers on strings 4, 3, 2, and 1. So our thumb is going to be on the 4th string. Alright, cool. If we move to the A chord, for example, our lowest note is the 5th open string. So our thumb is going to move to the 5th string, and we're going to play 5th string, and then move on to the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string. And the same if we go, for example, to the G chord, it's all 6 strings. Lowest note, lowest string is the 6th string. So we're going to play the 6th string, thumb on our 6th string, and top 3 strings. Now, for our purposes, let's think of these as 8 notes. So when you do one pattern like this, that's 4 notes, that's 4 8 notes. Which means, since we know that there's 8 notes per bar, it's half a bar. So if we take a look at a song like Knocking on Heaven's Door, right? We have 2 chords per bar. We have the G for 2 beats, and then we have D for 2 beats, and then A minor for a whole bar. So what we can do is play one pattern per chord at the beginning. So the G chord will be, remember our thumb on the 6th string? And if you count with it, it would be 1 and 2 and. And then for the 3rd beat, we move on to the next chord, which is the D chord, move our thumb to the 4th string, and so 3 and 4 and. So that first bar of Knocking on Heaven's Door with finger picking with this pattern would sound like this. And then we move to the A minor chord, which is the whole bar. So we're going to do the pattern twice for the A minor chord. And remember, A minor chord, lowest note, 5th string. So our thumb is going to be on the 5th string. So the whole progression for Knocking on Heaven's Door with finger picking like this would sound like this. Great. So today we covered 3 new chords, the A, E, and the E minor chord. We covered 2 new songs. Still haven't found what you're looking for, what I'm looking for, and Halo by Beyonce. And we also looked at a whole new technique on how to play finger picking. That's a lot, and that's incredible. I'm not going to put anything more on you, and remember, if you have any questions, feel free to join us on our weekly live Q&A this Saturday at 6:30 p.m. You can also mail in questions in advance. I can take a look at them and figure out what's the best way to answer them. Anyway, my name is Richard. I'm a teacher at Center Music House, and it's been a pleasure to teach you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.